exploring some of these variables. Let's suppose, for instance, that you may want to get started, I don't know, with, for example, the fertility rate. Let's take a look at how the fertility rate of all these countries has changed throughout the years. So what you can do, as you remember from the first tutorial, is just drag this variable, children per woman. You can drag it from here to here. Or you can also open this drop-down menu over here and just load any variable that you have. So I'm going to, instead of dragging and dropping, I'm going to just click on this icon, this arrow here, and I'm going to load children per woman. And what you will get over here is a histogram. So the height of each one of the bars corresponds to the number of countries. The x-axis is the number of children per woman. So you have from 0 children per woman, 2, 4, 6 children per woman, and 8 children per woman. And the size of these bars is basically the number of countries that had this number of children per woman, 2 point something, right? Now, the thing is that the shape of the histogram is quite interesting, okay? It's showing us the concentration of countries, but as you can see, it has like 2 bumps. It has a high point over here and another high point over here. That's a very, very unusual distribution for this kind of data. We may assume that most countries should be more or less in the middle of the distribution, okay? But as you can see, this distribution has 2 different modes. This is called a bimodal distribution. It has 2 different peaks. What is going on over here? Well, what is going on, and this is the reason why I told you before to remember that we have the year variable over here, is that we are seeing all countries in all years. All right, we are seeing all countries from 1952 to 2008. So probably the countries that are the bars that are on the right of the distribution are basically the countries in the past. Okay, so in the past, most countries probably had a high fertility rate, and those are the countries that we're seeing over here. And then this other group of bars over here probably correspond to countries closer to the present, because fertility rates all over the world have been going down in the past 50 years. So what we need to do next in order to see the fertility rate per year, instead of seeing all fertility rates for all countries for all years, is to basically break these down to using the year as another variable. We need to subset the data using the year as the variable that is going to do the cut. So what we're going to do is to go down here in the menu, and where it says select, drag and drop subset variable 1, what we are going to do is to open this drop down menu and select year. And what will happen is that the former histogram is going to be divided into several uglier, I would say, histograms. So we're going to change the appearance of these histograms in just 1 second. So these are basically the number of countries that had a certain number of children per woman every year, 1952, 1966. If you want to see country by country, you go down here and drag this slider, all right? If you move it forward, you will see 1952. So this is 1952, this is 1956. And if you move forward, notice the difference, and you go all the way to the end, this is 2008, you will see that in 2008, most countries, each one of these dots corresponds to a country, most countries had a fertility rate between 1 point something up to 3 point something. So most countries are over here. This is in 2008. But if you go back in time and go back to 1952, let's go over here, 1952, you will see that the distribution, the histogram here, looks quite different. Most countries are over here on the right of the spectrum, meaning that a majority of countries, all right, more than half of the countries, had a fertility rate of more than 5, in between 5 children per woman and 8 children per woman. So this is the difference between the past, remember, each one of these dots corresponds to a country, between the past and the present. Okay, this is the first step on many explorations of data, which is to get a sense of the shape of the data, of the shape of the distributions, the number of observations that you have on the data set, number of observations in this case meaning number of countries. Now, as I explained in the first tutorial about Insight and Illustrator and other tools, you can change the appearance of these charts. So rather than representing each country using 1 dot, this is a property here, just because we have a relatively small amount of countries. But if you have, for example, thousands and thousands of well, the world doesn't have thousands of countries, but let's suppose that you were seeing the data I don't know, at the regional level, right? So you will have like thousands of regions. The number of dots here will make the chart impossible to read. Therefore, sometimes instead of showing the histogram as a series of dots, it will be appropriate to show the histogram as a series of bars. Okay, in order to do that, remember that if you want to change the appearance of any chart in Insight, you need to go to the Add to Plot button down here. So if you click on that, it will take you to a series of menus that will let you change the appearance of the chart. So if you open this upper menu over here, you can click on Change Plot Appearance, click on that, and then here it will ask you what plot do you want, plot type, either the default or the histogram, either the dot plot or the histogram. So I'm going to select histogram, and there you go. Now we have a histogram. And again, the height of the bar represents the number of countries that have this amount of children per woman. Now if I click on Close, right now where I will get exactly the same thing, right? So in the past, in 1952, most countries had high fertility rates, all right? Remember that the x-axis is fertility rate, number of children per woman. But in the present, closer to the present, in 2008, most countries move to the left side of the spectrum, meaning fertility rates are going down. Actually, you can animate these, right? So you can drag these and see the animation of how I'm going to the past. Now I'm going to click on play. If I click on play over here, I can see the entire animation. These moves, you will see all the bars moving backwards, okay, one by one. We are going through year by year, and all the fertility rates go back. Okay, so this is the first step in any exploration of data. By the way,